Hello everyone, today we talk about a daily checklist for the only day you'll ever know. Hello everyone. I used to think there were 3 days when I really started to get my head around the world and the concepts of time, linear time, before I quite understood quantum mechanics. And I used to tell myself, well, if I'm going to be practical, there's only 3 days. There's yesterday, there's today, and tomorrow. Anything outside of that is imaginary. And it worked quite well for me. Until finally I came to the shocking realization that yesterday and tomorrow are simply, once again, figments of the imagination. As much as we want to grasp and hold on to them, as much as we want to vividly imagine the circumstances and events of those days, we can never quite imagine them. If you were to tell people in 1969 that on the next day man would be on the moon, or if you were to tell that's those same individuals 9 years previous to that president would be dead the day after arriving in Dallas, no one would ever believe you. So really understanding that what you have today is all you have, and it's all you can quite grasp in this organic computer that we use. So today's the only day we'll ever know. So how do we use it well? How do we make sure we're not putting things off? You can't exercise tomorrow, and you can't exercise yesterday. You can only exercise today. You can only do the right things for yourself today. So as always, I'm going to begin with a quote on this subject. This quote is a poem, and that poem goes, "Once more into the fray, into the last good fight I'll ever know. Live and die on this day, live and die on this day." An incredible poem, and means so much to me, because I think what the author is trying to illustrate here right now is go out into the fray. This is your last day. This is your first and last day. So go out, do, be. Don't think. If you stay in the head, you are dead. And really embracing the things that are coming towards you, and not putting them off or not waiting. So one of the things that I really thought would be a great idea was to create a checklist. Very early on in the video series I created a checklist, and today I wanted to explain that in more detail, that checklist, so we can use it as effectively as possible. So one more quote by the great Ralph Waldo Emerson before we get stuck into the actual checklist, which I'll add the file download to this link, is sow a habit and you reap an action. Sow an act and you'll reap a habit. Sow a habit and you'll reap a character. Sow a character and you'll reap a destiny. It is so true. The building blocks you put in place today push your karmic journey forward. They manipulate the epigenetic markers on your DNA to make you less susceptible to disease, to be more motivated, to have better immunity. It's absolutely crazy. People say to me all the time, "I can't believe that you get up at a certain time in the morning." Well, I can't believe that they don't get up at a certain time in the morning, simply because I've sown that habit. And for me to think it's weird for them to wake up at 10, they've sown that habit. So they find it easy to wake up at 10. I find it hard to wake up at 10. So there's no good or bad. There's just the seeds that we plant, and then the fruits that grow from those. So since I've come to the realization I only have today, there's some key things, some key mechanisms I must use in order to make it a fulfilling day. So number one, and this is on the checklist, so you can check it off every single day: drink water. I know it sounds crazy, and I know it sounds simple, but people don't do it. They do not drink enough water. And I don't mean tea, I don't mean soda, I don't mean Coca-Cola, I don't mean milk, I mean water. Water, the thing that makes up 80% of your body, that helps every bodily system, whether it's the release of electrons into your body, whether it's red and white blood cells, everything's dependent on water. Water is incredibly important. Water in the morning is important as well. It doesn't need to be hot or cold. There's been different studies showing that either way, drinking water is the benefit. Number two, meditate. I said to my friend yesterday, and it was almost like a veiled compliment, where I said to him, I go, "You are the most level-headed person I know who doesn't meditate." And it was a real compliment. I really believe this, this person was just a really level-headed, great person. But the reason I added the caveat, who doesn't meditate, is because until you add meditation to your life, you will find it very difficult to find peace. Meditation is simply the training of the brain to slow the amygdala, to increase activity in the prefrontal cortex, and allow yourself to be at peace. Okay, that's the scientific model. Obviously, we can go further and talk about the spiritual aspects about it, but it's weight training for the brain. Saying to someone, pick up a 50 kilo dumbbell For most people who haven't weight trained, that's going to be very, very difficult. So they must weight train to get to that point. Meditation is something that will last a lifetime. Every day you meditate, your brain gets a bit fitter and your life becomes a bit easier. And I will not work now with anyone who doesn't at least meditate once a week, because I find that it's almost impossible to make transformative changes in the way you see the world, therefore the reality that comes back at you, until you begin to meditate. And we're not talking about mumbo jumbo. We're not talking about sitting here with bells and whistles and you know, in full lotus position. I'm just talking about sitting in a chair, focusing on the breath for 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. No magic, no, you know, dudes on flying carpets. Focusing on the breath for 10 to 15 minutes. We can all do that. We've got 15 minutes to, you know, do lots of things during the day. Number 3, watch your 1 year life transformation video. You've been doing it. It's fantastic. And as much as I'd love you to watch my videos, what I'm really saying here is take in one piece of information that's not trying to sell you something. Take in one piece of information from an individual who's genuinely interested in your enlightenment. And if you're finding that hard, just pick up a book. Because the majority of books written, especially, you know, the classics, whether it's the Iliad or whether it's Charles Dickens or whether it's Eckhart Tolle, doesn't matter. And go to your library, it's free. But one piece of positive information that isn't got a Nike tick at the end, which hasn't got a Mercedes logo, which doesn't have the Microsoft doo-doo-doo-doo beep at the end. Something that's going to be about uplifting your spirit, designed to make you a better person. Number 4, workout. We are animals. we forget this all, that we're animals, right? I believe that humans are sacred. I believe we have sacred dignity. But we're animals. We need to move. In fact, our particular species, Homo sapien, is a nomadic species. We're designed to move. In fact, we move so much. We started in a small pocket in the Rift Valley in Africa, and now we're everywhere. We're all over the shop. We're in Spain, we're in China, we're in New Zealand. We're everywhere because we move. You must move. Movement is the basis not only of the cosmos and the universe, but of our body. So if work out, and it needs to be at least some strenuous workout. You know, it's not enough to simply go, well, I walked to the to get lunch today. Walk the stairs, go to the gym, go for a swim. Find what you love to do. Go for a hike in nature, but make sure that you're puffing. Make sure that you're actually exerting some energy. Your body is designed to work on autopilot, and until you push it, it's not really exercise at all. Number 5, call or text a positive message to someone in your life. Gratitude for people in your life who are either doing it tough or have done something great for you is just so important. You are where you are right now because of the people who have helped you get here. And if you don't believe me, well, it's impossible for you to be here because a person had to give birth to you for you to be here. There's sacrifices being made for you to be here. And it's our job to keep the karma wheel spinning and to make sure that we're looking after other people. It can be simple as the simplest text to someone you haven't spoken to in years, just saying, hey, I remember that time that you helped me out, thank you very much. Or even more, it could be, you know, some small trinket for someone that you like while you're shopping. Just something small, a positive message to impact someone's life. Now think about it. If everyone gets onto this bandwagon, imagine the community and the world we'll live in. It'd be very difficult to get up in the morning and say, oh, I'm having such a bad day, and then only to receive a text message saying how wonderful you are. Imagine what that could do to someone's day. Stretch. We've got to stretch. Now, why do we need to stretch? Well, personally, I do yoga, but it doesn't necessarily need to be yoga. It can be all types of stretching. We need to stretch because most of our jobs are sedentary, and sedentary jobs will kill more people than any other disease. It creates heart disease, and we need to stretch, we need to move, we need to make fluid. There is nothing more debilitating than not being able to get out of your chair as an elderly person. There's nothing worse than not having the energy to do the things that will grow you as a person. We must stretch. We must make sure that our bones and our arms and our ligaments are all working so we can go out into this reality and experience the multitudes. I can tell you, in the last couple of months, I've traveled to 5 or 6 different countries. And every time I've landed in those countries, the first thing I've done is stretch. Because as soon as I stretch, I have the energy to go out and get things done. And finally, do one thing that you've been putting off for a while or that day. That old saying, eat the frog, which is, you know, what's the hardest thing you can do today? Just do it. walk through that waterfall of fear. Every time you do something you fear, you grow as a person. And I can tell you, if every day you tackle something, whether it's a phone call with someone you don't want to have, whether it's telling someone something that you should have told them but you don't want to, whether it's simply something at work you don't enjoy doing but you've been leaving it for a while, attack that problem head on and show it who's boss. Because when you realize that the will, the awareness of the body taking the action is in charge, not the thought that's saying, oh, this is too hard, too tough, you get total power. And the more you exercise that total power, the more control you maintain. This checklist, I use checklists all the time. I haven't got a perfect memory, so I love to use these checklists, and there's nothing better than ticking them off. And drinking water, meditating, watching positive messages, working out, sending a positive message to someone, stretching, and doing one thing I've been putting off for a while really makes my day complete. And I tell you what, I sleep well when I've done these things. I'll leave the link to this. It's something to think about, introduce into your life. And not a lot of people are already doing it already, but it can't hurt to remind yourself that these are important. And I can't wait to see you till tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.